Hey, what's up, everyone? This is going to be a review of ROH's SoCal Showdown 2. And, this was the return back out to the West Coast to Los Angeles for Ring of Honor. Last year, they had the SoCal Showdown 1 show. I don't think that show really drew as much as this one. This one, I think they drew almost 1,000 people. You could definitely feel there was a lot more people here. I think I think Shelton said they drew about 900 on his Twitter. So yeah, this had a great crowd. Just another great show. I feel like the second half of the show was awesome actually. So let's break it down. First match we had the Bravado brothers taking on Cedric Alexander and Caleb Konley. This is an average opener. Not one of the better ROH openers in recent memory. Just short and sweet, but I don't know, just nothing memorable about it. I think it could have got a little bit more time. And like I said, the Bravado brothers, they're kind of getting over a little bit. They kind of have this preppy gimmick where they're kind of like these arrogant heels. So it's kind of working to a degree. So that was okay, like a 2.25-star match. Next up we had Colt Cabana versus Jay Briscoe. This is kind of disappointing, I would say. Cabana was extremely stale in this match. I mean, you could just feel it. A lot of the crowd was kind of turning on him. There was like one or two fans that were really getting under Cabana's skin. I think they were chanting "boom boom boring." They were chanting "you're not funny." It was just, I kind of just felt bad for him. But yeah, him and Jay Briscoe had a decent match. I mean, I would have liked to see Jay Briscoe in a higher profile match, considering he just came off of that epic match with Roderick Strong. But yeah, this is kind of average. I kind of have a feeling that Cabana's kind of on the way out. I mean, they need to turn him heel or just think of something to, just get him going again. So next up we had the Cutler brothers taking on the All Night Express. This is a little bit better than I anticipated. I remember Mr. Narrator talked about how the Cutlers were kind of treated unfairly, how they were kind of squashed to a degree. I didn't think they were totally squashed. I think they got some good offense in. There was a lot of people in the crowd were chanting "Let's go Cutlers." It was a decent match. I'd say it was a solid 3-star match. I mean, probably not as epic as some of the recent stuff they've been doing in PWG, but All Night Express looked good. Just a solid undercard tag team match. Nothing really to complain about. So it was still pretty good. Next up, we had the match of the night. We had Davey Richards versus TJ Perkins. These guys rocked the house. This was the match of the night. TJ and Davey had a lot of chemistry. I mean, just a lot of awesome counters and reversals and. Just a phenomenal wrestling match. I thought TJ really, went hole for hole with Davey on the mat. Just phenomenal stuff. That's pretty much all I could say. A lot of athleticism, very, very fast paced. Just another great match to Davey Richards' resume. But the cool thing about this was the post match. A lot of the fans there were PWG fans. Davey actually acknowledged the PWG company. And said that that TJ Perkins and him made their way up in PWG. He said if it wasn't for TJ Perkins, Davey wouldn't be the wrestler he is today. Really put over TJ in a big way. I think this match is a perfect example of you don't really have to win a match, to kind of go over. Once Davey left the ring, TJ Perkins got a standing ovation. It was kind of like he won the match to a degree because he just got such, it was such a huge connection with the fans with TJ. And the actual fans who were in the audience. It definitely did a lot for TJ. This kind of signals that Davey kind of implied that ROH should do whatever they can to bring TJ in as a regular. So I thought that was really nice. And you got to give Davey Richards credit. I think he's a really nice guy actually. You see all the times he went out of his way to make sure Edwards got respect, and now he did the same thing here with TJ Perkins. So I think that says a lot. Like I said, this was the match of the night. 4.25 stars. Just another vintage, awesome Davey Richards match. And this is probably the best match I've seen TJ Perkins have so far, from out of all the stuff from PWG and all the other stuff. So definitely a great match. Next up, we have Christopher Daniels versus Mark Briscoe for the television championship. This was a little bit better than expected. I wasn't expecting much from this. Mark, I would say Mark is really not the. Actually, let me say this in a nicer way. I would say Jay is definitely the better Briscoe by far. We haven't really seen Mark Briscoe in a lot of, title shots. So it was nice to see him finally get the actual title shot against Christopher Daniels. He actually pinned Daniels at Champions versus All-Stars to get this match. And the cool thing about this was, the backstory. Kevin Kelly and, what's his name, Prazak, they touched on this a little bit, but they didn't really explain the whole story. They talked about how Mark Briscoe was in the Prophecy for about 1 day. You know, back in the old days, Daniels was the top heel in ROH. He used to have the Prophecy. But back at that time, Mark really couldn't wrestle, and him and Jay were kind of in the midst of a feud. And to get back at Jay, Mark actually, turned on him and joined the Prophecy. But the problem was, Mark couldn't really wrestle on the on the Philadelphia shows. So they brought him in for the one show, and he was pretty much a member of the Prophecy. But a lot of people forget about it because once they came back to Philadelphia, Mark really couldn't wrestle. So he pretty much just hung out with the Prophecy. And then I believe it was one of the Briscoes' friends actually died. One of their friends from their football team actually passed away. So then they decided to team together and kind of dedicate the rest of their wrestling careers to their best friend that passed away. So they pretty much just dropped that whole Mark and the Prophecy angle. So I mean, it was pretty cool. My point is, I just think it was pretty cool how they touched on that Mark Briscoe and Christopher Daniels have a little bit of history together. But this actual match was really good. Actually, it was fast paced. It was crisp. I would say that this is by far Christopher Daniels' best run in ROH since he's come back. And it was good and everything. I'll give it about a solid 3.5 stars. But at the same time, this really didn't do a lot for Mark Briscoe. It's not like he gave you the impression that he could eventually become a world champion, or maybe he's a little bit underrated as far as him not being being the weaker Briscoe. You know what I'm trying to say. So that was it. But still, it was a little bit better than I expected. I wasn't really expecting much from it. All right, so next up we have the Kings of Wrestling taking on the Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin, the world's greatest tag team. This was awesome. This was every bit as good as the Glory by Honor match. I thought it had a great crowd. The finish was awesome here. They really played off of that Glory by Honor 9 finish and just executed a phenomenal finish. I mean, both teams were over as hell. It's pretty much all I could say. Just another awesome Kings of Wrestling match. 4 stars without a doubt. Kind of predictable because you pretty much knew who was going over because it was a non-title match. So you kind of I don't think anyone expected Kings of Wrestling to beat these guys twice in a row in non-title matches. That really wouldn't have made sense. However, though, we're going to be getting Kings of Wrestling versus Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin once again at the Honor Take Center stage show for the tag team championships. I really hope the Kings of Wrestling win that match. I love Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin, but I just don't think they deserve the belts at this point. Kings of Wrestling put in a lot of work. I feel like the title change needs a little bit more build-up than this, so I really hope they retain the belts. I don't think that title change should happen anytime soon because I really feel like the Kings are really hitting their stride right now. They're the most over guys in ROH, even though they're heels. So, yeah. And then the final match on the show, we have Roderick Strong versus El Generico. Excellent stuff. This was awesome. This was, I'm going to say this is probably the best match these guys have had together. And, it seems like a lot of people are really down on Roderick Strong, even before he lost the championship. A lot of people, particularly a lot of Japanese wrestling fans, think he kind of lacks a lot of psychology. And obviously a lot of people think he's kind of boring on the mic. I've always said that he's kind of like the Chris Benoit of ROH. Now, at the same time, I love Benoit. I think, but at the same time, I don't think Roderick is definitely missing something that Benoit has as far as his personality goes. I don't really see that the killer instinct, let me say that, killer instinct that Benoit had in Roderick Strong. This is something off. I mean, I can't really say that, he's definitively the Chris Benoit of ROH because I still think he's missing something that Benoit had. But I still like Roderick, though. I would agree, though. Sometimes his offense seems kind of routine, like chops, backbreakers, insecurity, just for the sake of doing it. I kind of agree with that, but I still like his intensity, though. I still think he's a phenomenal wrestler. I think he works extremely hard. I think he has a lot of intensity. He really showed his intensity in this match. The fans really got behind El Generico. Generico looks sweet as always. Just a vintage performance from both of these guys. I'll probably give it 4.25 stars. Had a really, really hot crowd. Considering they just sat through a whole show, the fans were really with them almost every step of the way. Just great stuff here. So that's SoCal Showdown 2. I'm going to give the show an 8.25. Everyone check it out. It's just another awesome show from ROH.